for it.
Yeah, well,
but then we pivot on to the other big game in that pool, which is also kicking off simultaneously.
We've had a lot of big games, but this might be the game of the weekend.
Thomond Park, 5:30, Munster, Saracens. Oh, awesome.
Jesus.
Refereed by the chaos element that is Roman Poit.
Yeah,
just to throw a little spanner in the works potentially. With an awesome colour and history, Munster have a bone to pick with Saracens. They feel they owe them pain because they've been dumped out at semi-final time twice by them before.
Last year including.
But in both instances, it's because they were just coming up against that side that are too good for them, which is very often the narrative with this generation of Munster.
The colour of this game, like the pool as it stands, Racing are on 7, Munster tied with them on 7. Saracens are sniffing behind on 5 after their their seeing off of Ospreys, which was fine but not necessarily massively convincing. The one chaos element to this game is obviously Nigel Ray's comments about not taking the game tournament seriously, which have been there has been a muted element to that in this game week. Like I haven't heard much of it, so it's hard to know from our perspective.
Will you see Farrell or will you be seeing Vunipola?
I think 10? You can call us out for not knowing if it comes to that, but we're just going to preview the game as if Saracens are men of honour and they're going to pick more or less their full side.
I don't know if that's what's going to happen though.
Well, if it's not going to
given that they picked their full side or close to for the game in the Rec last week, and now they may be sending the kids out for Europe.
The English sides pick their full side every week. That's what they're supposed. That's what they do forever. It's not like last year when they were taking the Heineken Cup seriously. They would have arrested guys for that Bath game. They wouldn't. They would have just kept picking them, and it worked for them. But regardless, Munster playing Saracens, and in terms of the pool situation, it is a repeat of last year's semi-final. They are two of arguably the best sides in Europe, and this is the third game of the comp, and the loser I would be super close to declaring gonzo. If Saracens lose this game, it is completely out of their hands, assuming Racing rack up their 10 points in 2 games, which they almost certainly will. Munster will have got the better of them here at home, and then they will be more than a catchable amount clear next week, which would leave a win in Paris from Munster, and Saracens can't catch anybody. So they would finish third. So a loss here for Saracens, and it's completely out of their hands. They're begging for Racing to beat Munster in Paris, and then they can come storming back and beat Racing and beat everybody on their way in. If Munster lose this, they will have got a draw and a loss from their 2 home games going into trips to London and Paris against the big boys, which would be
catastrophic,
more than likely doom.
Especially
when you consider the Thomond Park factor is such a huge element of what Munster are in this competition.
For sure.
So this is essentially a knockout game.
It's close
to third game of the competition. It is a knockout game between 2, real heavyweights, the champions and the 2 times champions and last year's semi-finalists, every year's semi-finalists seemingly. Munster, and this is, what more can you say? This is this is exciting.
It is very exciting. So I'm going to start with Munster's perspective on the game. With the ball, they need to try and what we've seen under them this year. I've enjoyed is a bit more shape. Certainly, with their ball in hand play, their wingers have been grabbing more tries. They look a bit more competent in terms of moving the ball, where last few years they just haven't been. So there's potential for them getting more off in offense, but they can't be too contented to just go through laboured phase after laboured phase against this Sarries outfit. Because even if it's a weakened Sarries outfit, they will be confident of getting some steals and getting some big hits. On a team that's just kind of one-dimensionally running into them. They also need to be aware of the failing that they've shown over the last few years of just not racking up enough points. If it goes like it has done in the last 2 meetings, where in the first half they're actually winning the contacts, the only team in Europe last year who managed to win some contacts against Sarries for a sustained period was Munster. And it was Chris Farrell's defence shooting out line speed, shutting out the outside, creating that shape that means that Sarries just, their multiple options and their deception was unstuck by people not being intimidated by their big runners. But with ball in hand, you need to be scoring more points for that, because that lasted 40 minutes and the net result was around 6-all. Which is Sarries will win that game if it goes that way again, because they will be more adept at finding tries. So Munster need to be clinical with the ball and find points, be that try or 3-pointer. They need to be racking up the points if they're getting that kind of dominance in the first half.
Well, one matchup I don't hate, because there's a lot of matchups I don't like for Munster here. I just in the contact inside. I know they have this Thomond Park factor, but I mean, like the Sarries D, Fringe D is brilliant.
Yeah.
And some of the biggest and best players in the world find it very, very difficult to cope.
Yeah.
With what Racing bring and Munster, Racing with what Saracens bring, and what Munster do is they can be so one dimensional in terms of how they build phases.
Yeah.
You don't see CJ going forward, you don't see Peter O'Mahony going forward in those narrow contacts. The likes of John Klein, like they will be blasted backwards by the likes of Maro Itoje and Will Skelton and George Cruz, and Billy Vunipola and Mako Vunipola. Like it's a killer pack. So you've got to be more creative and you've got to move the ball. But one area that I don't hate is aerially against the back three. Like I think Elliot Daly has come into the Saracens team, which to my mind just bafflingly weakens them. Like he wasn't brought in as cover, he was brought in as a marquee signing, which I know, he's English fullback, etc., but he's not as good a player as either Liam Williams or Alex Good. And under the high ball there's vulnerability there. Like Lewington's a young man, he's been the guy they've been going with on the left wing. Maitland they've been going with on the right wing, who isn't particularly adept on the high ball. And you've a guy like Conway who's just in the form of his life, and you've a guy like Murray who, for all of his faults, can land a box kick on a sixpence 90% of the time.
Yes, he can.
So I mean, like if Munster are in their own half at all, that has to be a huge part of the plan.
High ball all day long.
Yeah.
Kick it up in the air. Let's attack that way. Make it scrappy. And then at scrum time, I'd actually fancy them giving it a go. I actually think there's parity there to be got, and then maybe something like.
Do you know what? If they pick Mako, it's still really, really tough.
Oh, it's still really
Mako is one man who's come out of the World Cup like a freight train. Like he's really in great form. Last couple of games, he's been everywhere.
Yeah, it's true.
So I mean, like there's still that to consider.
There is, but then that Munster, but the goodness of Munster too. Both of their front rows, the guys off the bench as well. Like even the likes of Jeremy Lockman, who's back in the pack. He's starting these days because he's grabbed his jersey. They all scrummage. They all like the scrum and like that area. So they won't mind keeping it tight that way, but they need the kicking games of their out half, whether it be that JJ as it has been.
Well, JJ's kicking game has been great, but it's been a different kind of thing. He's been pegging corners.
Exactly.
And he's been doing a great job of pegging corners. And again, that back three is where Saracens are weak.
Yeah.
And Elliot Daly's positional play is not all that. So yeah, absolutely. It's like, for me, like you can talk, like the Larkin picture has been nice. It would be a wonderful surprise if Munster started cutting Saracens open with some beautiful attacking shape that was deceptively, fooling Duncan Taylor and putting,
because that's another area of isolating. Maybe Duncan Taylor's one off defence.
Against Chris Farrell. It's the smash game out there for sure. But it would be a surprise to see Munster just cut loose and start, ripping through the side with the backs and putting Saracens to the sword that way. I think it's more likely, like, you need to be on the front foot, and you get on the front foot with accurate, well-chased kicks. And then forcing the knock-ons out of Saracens, getting the scrums, kicking again, pressuring them again, keeping the game down there, attacking them through O'Mahony at line-out time.
All of that.
Making it frustrating.
They need to be niggly and frustrating.
Making 20 minutes have passed and Saracens still haven't got to have the ball in Munster's half because of all of this niggly stuff. I mean, listen, if there's any... that Munster have extremely close ties to the South African coaching ticket. Razi and Jack Niemar were very recently involved in the demolition of a lot of these guys in a World Cup final, and they were Munster coaches, and they're in some communication with the Munster coaches. So like they should be hatching a similar plan.
They should spoil these big English boys, and let's make it our game, not theirs. And that's definitely on the other side of the ball in defence. That's the approach as well. The likes of Peter O'Mahony, CJ, Tig Byrne, all in the breakdown all day long, all making it niggly, and then out wide Scannell and Farrell bringing that line speed. If they can bring that line speed that they brought in the semi-final last year for the first half, then there is a real capability of shutting this.
Hot take from yours truly. Chris Farrell is far and away the best centre in Ireland.
At the moment, he is
head and shoulders a better player than Ringrose, Henshaw or Bundy Aki, and it just gets missed but he so is. And it's a real opportunity for him to step up and show that. And if he gets paired with Duncan Taylor, that's not the worst matchup you'll ever see. And they don't have the Alex Good factor at the moment as the second distributor to aid Farrell, which was so potent last year.
Yeah, sure. He was starting at 10 for some games as well.
Yeah, but he was also just moving into 10 if you wanted Farrell as your second distributor. They had such a clean and pristine offensive system going. Whereas with Elliot Daly, you're like, all right, what's he doing there?
He's a big boot.
Well, yeah, I know. It baffles me. But they're weaker for it. Yeah. They're weaker for the presence of Taylor over Lazowski and Daly over Good.
Yeah.
And Chris Farrell is a phenomenal defensive player. He's who you wish Robbie Henshaw was in terms of D. He sticks his tackles, he gets into people's face, he reads the game very nicely.
He actually has a little bit of elements of what Lutano Am does to what he does. He gets out of the line, makes big physical hits, a long pair with good reads. And then with ball in hand, like he doesn't take the outside as often as you'd like from an aspiring outside centre, but as far as deft touches and really good physical carries, and you have with Scannell you have a distributor on the inside of him, so it doesn't actually matter as much. So it's good. Like as always, there's potential for this backline to click, but I don't know if that's the area they'll win.
Scannell has a big boot as well, actually, for the kicking game.
For his exit game as well.
Yeah, but that's what Munster's kicking game is, where they have over Saracens at the moment. It's what they should go to
for sure. Yeah. And then if you're Saris, what you should be doing is picking your A team first off to come to Thomond Park. But yeah, they should be trying to play that Saris game, and that's to their credit, when they do pick their kind of second string side, they still look a bit like Saris when they get that flow and that tempo. They have a similar shape. They try and play that way. So they will be trying to move this Munster pack around, set that more probing tempo, and use that big wide shape to make it. They not still about have the physicality.
10 in World Rugby,
exactly.
Probably, maybe, when he plays 10 on Farrell.
Yeah.
He was just remembering that he didn't make it into our Rugby World Cup 15, but that was with the addendum that they weren't playing him at 10.
Yes, they were playing.
He probably would have if he was playing 10. And he does play 10 for Saracens.
Yeah.
Assuming he gets picked. If they don't pick on
if
Farrell,
it's Vunipola against JJ.
I think they lose if they do that, and I think they're out of Europe,
and I think they deserve
a colossal mistake
if
they do that. So let's hope they don't. I have a feeling they don't. They won't somehow. But if it's Owen Farrell, which it should be, like, he is a masterful operator, even without the presence of Good and Lazowski and these better players than the guys they've brought in.
Yeah.
They move the ball very, very crisply. They're still winning games with sharp offensive footy. Their shape is still very, very nice.
They still have Brad Barrett, if they're picking him as well, who can lead any defence as well, and shut down a lot of what's going on off the ball.
But most of all, it's just about, first of all, negotiating what Munster are going to bring. The physicality is huge. Itoji can shut so much of what Munster bring down, but then the two Vunipolas is great as well. And then it's that classic Saracens picture that England incorporated in the World Cup of just Farrell has the ball. And
there are four options, and he picks the right one.
Exactly. And like three of the options are
Billy off the ball.
Billy Vunipola, Maro Itoji, and
Mako or something,
and Jamie George. Jamie George just slide through and
untouched because everyone else was double teaming Mano or Mako
or
Maro or anyone, because they're very hard men to ignore. They're too big and too dynamic.
Farrell will inevitably pick the right option, and that's just where Saracens' offense just starts looking like this really, really beautiful thing.
True.
And it has its own very natural tempo, and still at its best, it's the best rugby that Europe has or perhaps ever will see.
For sure.
So I mean, if they can do that. It's a hell of a job for your Chris Farrells and your Rory Scannells and the boys to spoil it.
For sure.
But making guys like O'Mahony, who his form hasn't been great, but who has big performances in him. It's like if Peter O'Mahony shows up in big game Thomond Park mode, where he's just everywhere, it's sending a guy like Itoji after him. So like he gets into a breakdown to try and steal a ball, he gets met with an Itoji every time, and you'll find after 4 or 5 breakdowns that his performance will dip, because that's what happens to a human body that gets hit by Maro Itoje a bunch of times.
Exactly.
You know, so I mean, like
the matchup was great, and then that set piece battle, be it at breakdown, but also at the Mall. I'm really interested to see what happens at the Mall. Because they favour, they like their Jean Klein down there, but Maro Itoje is gonna school him.
We keep mentioning Itoje, but it's only because he's probably the best player out there. Like
exactly. And but also the set piece, that particular line out drive is so pivotal to what Munster do and what they will be after Saracens in terms of trying to get that go forward through that area. Maro Itoje is the caveat to them. If they pick him, he will spoil that break. And like if they do what they did in the Bath game where he's at 6 to accommodate the absolute monsters of Will Skelton and Cruz in the road, it's a really physical, savvy kind of lineup.
Like I was going to say it's the thing that gets understated. It doesn't. Everyone else talks about Saracens like they're giants and nothing else, but it probably gets understated a bit on this podcast. Is that they are colossal men, indeed, especially in that tight area.
Exactly,
and like that's
for a team like Munster who want to attack through that area. That's the nullification
that's where it becomes
factor.
about the kicking game. It's about going where Saracens are weak and going
where they aren't.
And Will Skelton has slimmed down, he's gotten fitter and everything else, but he's still a massive mass of stuff, of matter that like he doesn't like having to turn around and run a lot.
No, he doesn't.
So keeping the ball in airtime is huge.
Yeah, definitely. And when you have guys like Murray and Hanrahan and Scannell. And then
Mike Haley
has a boot on thing, like, and Conway, all of them can kick the ball, so they should be.
Even Keith Earls put an absolute peach in the other week as well.
That's right. Yeah. So that's definitely the dynamic of the game that Munster will be trying to create. How do you see it going?
I don't know. I don't know who Saracens are going to pick, and I know you guys are going to be giving us shite one way or another because we just don't know the team. It is what it is.
It's definitely an interesting dynamic because like I'm fascinated that they
the
got
loser of this game is out. These are great teams, and that's why it's such a fun game to preview, and because these are such great teams.
It's defending champs against always there
in the
semi-finals.
And it's crazy. It's frankly, it's a changing of the guard. It's a phenomenal thing that one of these sides is not going to be featuring in the knockouts, and yet that's almost certainly
the case. With Racing starting as well as they have.
So I mean, it's hard to imagine it being either. It's like it was hard. Frankly, it was hard to imagine Saracens not running roughshod over this game before the scandal broke and Nigel Ray's comments and everything that's been said since. At the end of the day, if they pick their best team, I don't know if Munster have the tools to deal with it.
No.
And I just I think they'll try and paint their picture with their kicking game. I think they definitely have a better chance than they would have had last year when Good was out there.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately the points, they're just like, are they going to get the same amount of points that Saracens are going to get when they're down in Munster's end?
That's the point. That's been the dynamic of both their meetings before. It's just like they've had periods of being dominant.
Like maybe, this is the thing with maybe this Stephen Larkham wonder show is about to unveil itself.
Farrell
is a beautiful
player.
Sits
down Taylor and then they're away and then it's Earls in the corner. That could be a great way of getting that one key win.
I'm no offence, but what is Duncan Taylor doing in a side that has had like Tompkins and Lazowski and so many class players?
I don't know.
Marcelo Bosch. I'm sure Bosch is gone at this stage.
He retired last year.
What is Duncan Taylor doing being the starting 13 in Saracens? It's an absolute mad scenario.
It is, and it means that it brings Munster back into the game.
It does.
I am going to say that Munster bravely get a losing bonus point.
Well, that would be it for them.
Yeah,
losing bonus point is as good as nothing for them.
I know, but that's I'm figuring on the premise we've gone with, which is Sarries picking they're close to their A game, their A team, and if they do that and bring their A game, I think they're just too good for them.
Saracens to just about be too good for them as well. Although with the added addendum that if they don't pick,
if Vunapola's at 10, then write that off. Then Munster are winning and possibly with a bonus.
Yeah, and Saracens will deserve everything they get if they do that.
Yeah.
So let's hope they don't.
That's the caveat to attach. But what a game! What a game! 3 stars v 2 stars, awesome contest. Defending champs against Munster in Thomond Park. Awesome. So we move on then.
Thanks so much for tuning into the Overlap Rugby Podcast World Cup content. If you enjoyed that video, please feel free to subscribe and comment down below, as well as share with your friends. Thanks.